sorry, we're starting here. There's something I've seen at the
Or that's just like how I found out about it. And then, so I'm not, I just doing the event where they sent me like a link for like an interview resource list that their camp was using. And I think I signed up because like, but I'm not totally sure like how it's going. I think so. But I'm like, I'm not totally sure.
So exciting!
How are you?
It was a little bit too Have you done it? So this is your first one. What?
96. But then I so like, and I compete to check to really go like campus like for like a couple of times around and like
What's your
I think I just also like saw it. I guess like
but I'm based in Chicago and I'm trying to come out here.
oh nice.
Yeah. So where? And no, it's a yeah. Coupon's pretty big there, but
Like that's the classic one.
Oh, and I know there's definitely
For about what are we doing?
or like
So what for this?
like
Just work and like for a long time.
you know hold on to that high.
So how long? Like about 2 years, I think. It's good overall. Actually, like about 2 years, not a year ago, but it was like super interesting.
so where in Europe?
In Amsterdam, like so I'm in Japan, but like she's around now.
Is it how long have you been?
Like I said, like it's true this I think it should go fast, but it's just like there's like stuff.
Fun stuff.
Yeah.
Very fun stuff. And is this like an entire transfer? Oh, so what kind of like motivated that?
Ended up being kind of ran on like I think in the back of my mind I was like some of the friends to work with had a internal transfer to Amsterdam, like it's posted like, hey, looking for partners in our it's like really fun.
Yeah, nice.
That's crazy. Trying to like
Internal transfer I tried. It's not
I mean, there's definitely a lot of things.
it's one round, so I'm gonna try everything. Possibly, and it's more salesy and it's really exactly right. So it seems that because my company is like more so it's kind of like moving away from it, which makes it hard to get a cardio. Yeah. So this is what kind of journey?
So it's like they're
Cool. So they brought you out there, maybe?
I did so I did like the on-site SF and then
Also, you would have to pay, yeah. They're like a local one. You like the Mac, okay, close your eyes.
How's it?
It's like their own thing.
it's like like it's a little bit
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of it being a squirrel, but it's just so
But not so much.
yeah, or at least I feel like I was doing like excited for you too. Are you like
exactly. I just like say like
I'm still trying to figure that out. I want to say you mentioned Google, but so are you? I see product management is really it's more about managing and managing. That's why I'm excited and excited because there's different industries. I'm thinking more in the sales sense because I came from a big company and I've been in a big company for 12 years. Big company is very big. My current unit, we kind of function like a small company. I feel like it's not my very exciting. It's like a binary search. Yeah. So I'm kind of looking for my binary search. But I think at the end of the day, it's the team. Because if you figure out regardless of the larger branch. So I need to
Thanks so much for coming. I'm so excited you're here. Yay! And we only had to delay the start by like 7 minutes, so that's not too bad. So here's the schedule. I'm sure you've already looked at it. More or less, we may change a few things. But I did want to point out that we do have a hashtag tonight, Get Hired F, which is kind of interesting. But there will be events like this in several other cities over the next few weeks. So this is a cool way to connect all of them. So if you have a Twitter account, please tweet something exciting tonight. That'd be great. And then here are some other Twitter handles that you could include, but the hashtag's fine. Okay, so starting with the important safety announcement. We have a code of conduct that everyone agreed to when they registered for this event. And this, believe it or not, is the short version. So I'm gonna read through it. Tectonica, that's one of the organizing orgs, is dedicated to providing a safe, inclusive, welcoming, and harassment-free space. An experience for all members and guests, regardless of gender identity and expression, sexual orientation, disability, physical appearance, socioeconomic status, body size, ethnicity, nationality, level of experience, age, or religion, or lack thereof. Our code of conduct exists because of that dedication. We do not tolerate harassment in any form, and we prioritize marginalized people's safety over privileged people's comfort. Our full code of conduct can be found at tectonica.org/conduct. So basically this means if something happens that is terrible, you should come find me and I will try to deal with it. And then after this, I'll be sending out surveys, and if there's an issue that you feel better reporting anonymously later, you can do it there, okay? So, toilets are for everyone, yay! These signs, or a version of this sign, is on the bathroom doors. They are this way around the corner. It's the first hallway on the left when you go back the way you came in. And there's a sign over there too. So, Tectonica. I have not told you yet, but I am Michelle Glauser, the founder of Tectonica. And our mission is to empower local women and non-binary adults with low incomes through tech training while making every tech team as diverse as its local community. A lot of times with diversity, we just talk about gender or race and ethnicity, but we totally forget to talk about socioeconomic status and reflecting the diversity that is already surrounding us. So I started Tectonica because I became a software engineer several years ago and it tripled my income. And it was so empowering that I wanted to pay it forward. And then when I saw the lack of diversity in tech, I said, oh, the same people being displaced by tech are the people most underrepresented in tech. Why don't we do something about that? So yeah, that's how Tectonica came to be. So basically what we do is we find corporate sponsorships in the form of a prepaid recruitment fee, and then that covers tuition, there is no tuition, it's free, laptops, living and childcare stipends, and then at the end, guaranteed job placement. And this is our current cohort. Several members are here. You've probably seen them around helping with stuff, thank you. And they're doing really well, and we'll graduate in June and go into jobs with our partner companies. So our curriculum is open source. It's over 1,000 hours of learning, which is more than in-person training for a CS degree. And it's been developed by professionals all the time. We decided on full stack JavaScript to give people a strong foundation in one language. And the last month is customized for the company that's going to be hiring them. And here are some of the companies that have supported us. And there are several reps here tonight from those companies, so thank you to each of you for advocating to get your companies involved. Not all of these are hiring partners, but they have supported Tectonica in some way. So yeah, we are currently looking, or we are about to open up applications for the next apprenticeship program, which will start in July, and the deadline will be April 19th, and we're also looking for sponsors for that next cohort. So that's what the /apprenticeship and /sponsor are for. That's just the URL on our website. Check those out. Awesome. Now, believe it or not, I also do community development for Twilio. So now I'm putting on my Twilio hat, and who knows what Twilio is? Okay. How many people have used Twilio? All right. Yeah, basically Twilio, I still have to work on this. Twilio makes it possible to do phone calls and text messages programmatically for software engineers. So if you've ever used Airbnb or Lyft or Uber, you have likely used Twilio, and it helps because you don't see the number of the person you're calling, for example, and they don't see yours, and creepy things can't happen if that is the case. So yeah, Twilio is pretty awesome that way. So I wanted to share that Twilio is the sponsor of the food tonight. So if you liked the food, you have Twilio to thank. I see a thumbs up, so that's a good sign. Yeah, so we have a new program called Champions, and it's for people who like Twilio and like the Twilio community, and you can become a champion or nominate someone else to become a champion, and you get special perks. So check that out if you are interested. And then who knows what Signal is? You people, okay. Yeah, Signal is the annual conference of Twilio, and it's in August this year, and tickets just opened up, so check that out too. And then Twilio is hiring, lots and lots and lots of hiring this year. So if you use this specific link, you will get my referral. So that will give you a better chance of getting in. Take a picture if you want. Great. Then finally, we have some things to give away. Dun, dun, dun. But you have to answer the quiz questions, right? And quickly. So the options are this awesome book. Has anyone seen this before? The founder of the Bubble Sort magazine, Amy Wibowo, wrote this. It's called How Do Calculators Even? And it's basically computer science stuff, but in a really cute way. And then there are some Twilio socks. So you get to choose between the two. We have 3 of each. So, all right, we'll see how this goes. Who knows what show's creators spoke at Signal last year? What TV show? Anyone? No. Oh, I hope it's not that one. Anyone?
Was it Westworld?
It was Westworld, Layla. Come pick your thing. Cool.
I'll take the book. I'll sign that. Thank you.
Okay, second question. The founders of Twilio wrote their pre-launch burn list on what? Close. Not a napkin. It's hanging in the lobby at Twilio.
Paper plate?
Also close. Food related. No, no.
Paper cup.
No.
Paper map. No.
Tablecloth?
No.
A fork.
Huh? Not toilet paper. I have some good ideas while I'm sitting here. It is. What? Almost.
Pizza box?
Yes! Pizza box!
I feel like I should get half.
One sauce for each.
Yeah, whatever she doesn't take.
Can I get the book?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. I can't read my own handwriting. Oh, right. Which, how do I word this? Twilio had its first media buzz with which song? Which famous song became their media buzz, their first media buzz. It's very famous, and there's a dance involved. Say it louder. Okay, go. No. Much older than that by like 30 years. Huh?
The Macarena?
Older. Wasn't the Macarena in the 90s? I think this was in the 80s. So we're going for 80s. It's a classic.
Electric Slide.
No.
Is it Journey?
Is it safety?
No.
Don't Stop Believing?
No. 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 Although that's good.
Rick rolling?
No. It's a dorkier dance. Huh?
Last Dance?
No. I don't hear it yet. Huh? No. All right, one more hint. No, I cannot do the dance. The dance is now a meme. Does that help?
No, Never Gonna Give You Up.
Yeah! Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley, the Rick Rolls.
Is that the name of the song?
Yeah.
Oh, is that okay? I gotta do this for my girls.
All right, thanks for playing that game with me. I wasn't sure how that was gonna go. Cool, so moving right along. Women Who Code was also involved tonight, and I understand that someone is here to talk about it. Awesome.
Hi, my name is Helen, and I'm here with Women Who Code. We're a nonprofit organization that focuses around supporting women, all women, trans, and non-binary folks. And that involves providing free workshops and events such as like JavaScript, the JavaScript study group and algorithms and interview preps event. I'm actually a part of that. I'm one of the hosts for that meetup, and we're always looking for hosts to host our meetup, our weeknight meetups. And here are some resources for Women Who Code. You can find all of our meetups on meetup.com, Women Who Code San Francisco. And if you check on womenwhocode.com /San Francisco, you can find a bunch of resources for the job boards, scholarships, and coding resources. Tech Snack is an online.
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you.
Cool. So then TechStacked also helped out, and they're an online community for underrepresented adults who want to advance their careers in tech. And they just launched recently. Their founder works at Google. Her name is Bria Sullivan. She's super awesome and all over Twitter. And basically they offer an online community for people to network and help each other. They have virtual workshops each week, and then they do office hours with industry experts, and a lot of those experts are from Google. So it's pretty cool. Check it out if you'd like to join. All right, we're gonna move into lightning talks. So I let the speakers know they have 5 to 10 minutes. And that means I'm going to be timing, and if they make it to 10 minutes, I'm going to stand up and start clapping, and I want you all to join me, and then they will be kindly guided away from the podium, and we'll move on to the next one. So this is the order. We'll do exactly this order. That's just what the slides are in. So if you are a speaker, take note now. Everyone good? All right, Andrea. Where is it? Okay. Way in the back.
Give me just a second. I have a really long password. Awesome. Okay, so as you saw, my name is Andrea Weaver. I work at Twilio in talent acquisition. My specific role, it's a special startup title, but it's Executive Talent Guide. Pretty much that means I make sure our executive talent gets into our offices. But anyway, so tonight I'm going to talk about getting the most out of mentorship. We'll talk about the importance of mentorship, what's a mentor, the mentor-mentee relationship, and then identifying a mentor. So the importance of mentorship. Mentorship promotes continuous personal growth and inspiration to meet or discover your own goals outside of the standard academic frameworks. This gives a mentee the opportunity to have real-world experience instead of the hypothetical. And when I say hypothetical, that's what you get in a classroom, right? So you can take that and apply it to being a doctor or a lawyer. You can absolutely go to class, get your certification, but then you have to go train after that with hands-on, and that's where mentorship kind of bridges that gap. Sometimes as you level up, it's about who you know. So I know some of us, if you've already been in tech rooms or tech offices, a lot of times it is who you know. You get fast-tracked if you know a certain person. And so with mentorship, you actually get to connect with someone that might be able to plug you into their network. And the most important part, I think, is being the face of the change that you want to see. I don't know if that made it in here. But underrepresented people or communities are not the faces we see. And so what's great about mentorship is once you gain the insight and skills that you didn't know to bridge those gaps, you can in turn give them back to your community. It doesn't necessarily mean you need to be a full-on mentor, but it does mean you have the skills and knowledge to pass that on as you develop so that you can keep building that pipeline. What's a mentor? Webster's Dictionary defines a mentor as an experienced and trusted advisor. There are guides into the unknown, a light at the end of the tunnel. They're insightful and they think big, and they don't allow you to settle, whether it's directly or indirectly. They connect the dots or bridge the gaps in the knowledge that you don't have. And then they also provide some sort of connection to the next steps for you in your career. What a mentor is not. So this is really, really huge. I think sometimes when people get into thinking about finding their mentor or looking for a mentor, their expectation is a little off. They're not your parents. They're not going to tell you what to do. They're not going to chase you around, make sure you do what you're supposed to do. They're not your personal fixer. So when I wrote this, I literally thought, oh, so not Olivia Pope. So this person is not gonna come and say, okay, I'm gonna fix everything for you and I'm gonna get you into this space and you're gonna do all this. No, it's not that way. They're not available at your every need, and they're not someone who tells you just simply what to do. The mentor-mentee relationship. So just like any relationship, it needs to be maintained over time. It'll change over time, and sometimes that relationship will end. It does not mean that it's a bad breakup and you block them on all of social media. It just means that you're sometimes leveling up, or they can no longer give you mentorship in the areas that you need because you've developed so far. You're constantly revisiting and revamping goals. You're sharing experiences. You have open communication. It's a practical relationship. You're respectful of each other's time and space, including mental space. Trust me, mental space. Also, I already said that, so we're good on that. As a mentee, you want to be curious. So you want to make sure you're positioning yourself to be open to criticism, or constructive criticism, I should say. I think probably the biggest thing on this list is to really ask questions, because they do have the insight and wisdom, and sometimes opinions that you may not relate to, but they may be able to give you some insight onto where you want to go. You should be always, always, always trying to learn, and learn some more, because I can't even tell you how impactful it is to just have the knowledge, and especially on the job with someone helping you work through something. And be willing to let go. I get it, we worked really hard to get where we are, but sometimes to get to the next step, you're gonna have to let some stuff go. Your plate is only so big, your cup is only so big, so you're gonna have to pour it out or eat it real quick and then put some more stuff on there. You know, it's like a buffet. You go to the buffet, you wanna eat everything, that's cool, but you gotta do it one plate at a time. And lastly, questions. Ask questions. Ask a lot of questions. Maybe not all at once, that might be a little off, but just a lot of questions, it's important. My favorite part that people always ask me is, how do you identify your mentor? And where are they, and why haven't they found me? You can find your mentor literally anywhere. Yes, I mean absolutely anywhere. Going back to what I said about mentorship, it's not necessarily this strong bond that you have with a best friend. It is someone that can give you insight. For me personally, I have had mentors in the most inconspicuous spaces. I wrote up a list of places that you can find a mentor. So it could be an author in your area of interest. It could be a passenger sitting next to you. So they may be able to give you some insight, or a number to somebody that can give you a little bit more information. A tenured coworker. A lot of times we think of mentors as people that are our managers or our VPs or our CEOs. A lot of times it's the person that sits across from us, but they have all the information, and usually that's the person that bridges the gap for the people that are in charge. Your favorite podcast, someone that speaks to you in that way and you're applying that knowledge. A specific book, Mr. Rogers, he's a great person for personal growth. A retired person, someone that's retired from your field that can give you insight or even solid advice as to how to react in certain situations, which comes up a lot, especially for underrepresented people in tech spaces. We don't always get a chance to see the people that we need to see in those spaces to feel seen and to be heard. And so it's important to find those spaces where we can. I've had a really great experience when I was way back. I worked at T-Mobile, but before I got hired, I told the lady, I said, if you're gonna hire me, please do not just hire me to be a sales rep. I wanna know what it's like to be a manager. And so what she didn't treat me any different, she didn't pay me any more, she just gave me responsibility over time and gave me feedback, whether it was terrible, like, Andrea, this was terrible, or hey, this is how we can do this, or what are you thinking? Walk me through your thoughts when you got to this space. My job now, I've only been at Twilio since January, and I work with a lot of EAs. And one of the EAs there, she's super insightful, super down to earth, and she knows a lot. Completely separate from my job, but is in the area of where she supports one of the VPs in the area that I want to go to. So what I do is I check in with her, get information for my actual job, but also tap into her knowledge and say, hey, where do I go for this? Or who do I talk to do this? Or, you know, I'm having this issue, help me work through this. And I think I don't even think she knows she's my mentor at this point. But I have tapped into her so much, but I also maintain our relationship. So she was out sick, and so I didn't harass her to death about things that I needed. I gave her that space, that mental space to get better. And when she gets back, I'll be right back at it, staring at her desk. Hey girl, so what you doing today? You know, just getting what I can, but also not taking advantage of her being willing to do that. But she also sees me putting into place the things that are necessary to help me grow as well. And so it goes back to what I said, just constantly asking questions, being open to criticism, to changing things, not necessarily about yourself, but maybe how you approach things. And so that's what's great about having a mentor. Thank you guys.
Thanks, Andrea.
You're welcome.
You had 25 seconds left. That was perfect. All right. before we move to the next talk, I just wanted to mention, because I forgot earlier, as a reminder that pictures are being taken at this event. So if you did not get a red X on your thing and you would like to not be in pictures, then please do that so we know, or let us know later so we can take you out of pictures. And then for people on the sides, these chairs are now open. Do you want to come sit here, please? I feel bad that everyone's on the side. Do any of you want to come sit over here? No. All right. All right. Great. Then Mawulom, you are up. Start the timer when you start.
Let me know when you're ready. We're live. Can you all hear me back there? You cannot hear me. How about now? Perfect. So, peace and blessings to you all. My name is Mawulom, and I'm really honored to be here. I want to first start by thanking Michelle and everyone else that had something to do with putting this together. So today, I'm going to talk to you about building a personal brand, and I'm going to do that by telling you a story of one of my friends, Josh, and then we're going to talk about some high-level things that you can do to begin discovering your personal brand and then intentionally carving it into the direction that you desire. I talk really softly, so if at any time you do not hear me well, just raise your hand and I will increase my volume. Fair enough? Thank you all. So, what is your personal brand? One of my favorite definitions of a personal brand is essentially it's the feeling that you leave someone with, whether it's a feeling that you leave them with in a one-on-one conversation, over email, when they look at your LinkedIn profile, over social messaging, or over ping. So I say that because Josh is the first individual that really made that a reality for me, that helped me sink that in. And when I started my first job at a tech company, I moved from New Jersey to Mountain View, you know, really similar places. I went from working at a government agency to working at a tech firm. And within the first few weeks of work, I realized that Josh was vastly different than everyone else I worked with for two major reasons. One, whenever you engage Josh, he would close his laptop, put his phone upside down, or just sit up and really like welcome you. He didn't fold his hands, but he was very welcoming. So that was new, and it was just something that I was very curious about. Number two, Josh was very thorough. So whenever you send him a ping or an email, he may be an hour or maybe a day late in responding, but his responses were books. They were thorough. He used everything he could to present value to you. So a few months into it, I got to know Josh, and he was consistent with this. And I found out a bit more about Josh. So Josh and I were similar in the fact that we both identified as being introverts, and we were working on moving out into the ambivert realm. Not so much extrovert. That was a bit scary for us. And Josh also had a really high sense of self, something that I was developing at the time, and he knew what his core strengths were. He was an artist, someone that was just a ferocious reader, and knew that he had this incredible ability to stay focused. So his plan was simple. He said, I'm not going to go out. However, if someone comes to me, I'm going to be present towards them. I'm going to use my strength to add value. And when people reach out, and whether it's through messaging or pings, I'm going to do the same thing. And he tested it out before we started work, and he saw that he would go home and still have energy, something that we talked about a bit, just energy management. And so I'm telling you all this so we can have a really thorough conversation next. So when I think about branding, especially personal branding, it's not about building something. I want to first start with discovering, where are you now? You are all actively part of many communities, family communities, school communities, tech clubs, work communities. So first, understanding where you are in your communities and how you're showing up. That will be the first step to discovering your brand. Once you know where you are, think about where you're going. Where do you want to be? What skill sets or attributes do you ascribe to the leaders or to your future self? Once you have those two realms, then we move on to the next. This slide is very wordy. Just giving you a heads up. It's not. Intention, just one word. That word is extremely powerful. And for me personally, I am from West Africa. Intention is the way that things are made. And so when Josh mentioned that he intended to maximize his energy while being present by opening up to people, I thought, whoa, I have that power. I can do the same thing. So once you know where you're going, set the intention. Set the intention for the behaviors that you want to develop. Set the intention for the skill sets that you want to show. And then as you set the intention, one thing you'll learn if you don't know about West Africans are, when we say intention, most of the things we say, it's really about work. So do the work. So take a look at your social profiles. Think about the vibe that you're giving. Think about the personal brand that you're giving, and then change that. Take a look at how you respond to people. Oftentimes, I love Google, not because of the building, but because of the quick email responses that we get now. And those aren't personal sometimes. So I always add a bit to it. So be very intentional about creating and crafting the message of who you are on social media, on LinkedIn, on your resume, and in your offices. The second part about this is making your mark. So you are all very unique individuals. I have over 11 brothers and sisters, and although we grew up very similar, we're all very different people. Our perceptions are different. The way we view things are different. So I would encourage you to take ownership of who you are, be authentically yourself. One thing that Josh taught me was that having a high sense of self-worth gets you really far. Not that you have grandiose ideas, but once you know who you are, you identify your weaknesses and your strengths, and then you can really live in that realm. You can start building, and you can start being intentional about how you show up, and then checking in with yourself, very much so. So that's really it. Just to go over what we talked about, building your personal brand is really about understanding where you are, finding out where you want to go, and then setting the intention to create that path so you can get there. As you journey on, you're going to grow, you're going to gain new skill sets. Remember to make your mark. Your most valuable asset is yourself, your experiences. When you bring that to the table, no one can copy that because no one has that. And as you grow, as you change, that's going to grow with you. And if you keep being yourself, it's really like counterintuitive, right? If you keep being yourself, you'll get really, really far. So that's really it. Thank you all very much for your time.
Thank you. All right. Bad interviews by Risa.
Hi everyone, I'm Risa. Can you guys hear me? Yes. All right. I am short. All right, so I'm going to be talking about bad interviews and how do we deal with them. But first, I am Risa. I'm a software engineer at a company called Agari. We deal with email security. I've had at least, in my lifetime, I've had at least 8 different jobs in 7 different sectors. I've been laid off 5 times, 3 before I was 30. And of all these jobs, I've only had 3 jobs through the network, through my network, and or through former clients. So yeah, I have failed many, many times when it comes to interviewing, and I've interviewed a lot. And most of these jobs that I've gotten have been through like Monster.com, CareerBuilder.com, and all those from back in the day. And I also like cats and dinosaurs. I'm wearing a dinosaur shirt, and it's also super nerdy. And this is not my cat, but it's cats and dinosaurs in one picture. So, what is a bad interview? Examples are, maybe you've booched every single answer that, for every question that they've given you, like, oh, why did I answer it this way? You've booched it all. Or maybe you were given unexpected questions, like something that's maybe like 5 levels too high for where you're coming in from. Or maybe you received irrelevant comments. Or worse, you've been told you don't have enough experience, or you're not a good cultural fit. I've heard that way too many times. And you start wondering, am I not good enough? But at the end of the day, at the end of the interview, you usually feel awful. And that's what I qualify as a bad interview. But I'm gonna say there's no such thing as a bad interview. Blow your mind, maybe. And that's probably also the wrong use of the meme, but that's okay. It's a dinosaur. So the reason why I'm saying that is because I believe, after years of experience of failing so much, that honestly, you probably actually dodged the bullet. Probably actually don't want to work at this company. And every failed interview is like plus 10 XP, or if you're not a gamer, plus 10 experience points. It will level you up. And it is great practice. Every time you fail, learn from it. And finally, kind of related to the first one, maybe it is them. It could be like just not a match. Maybe they decide that, hey, after the interview, you're a great fit, but we have a hiring freeze. Sorry. Bottom line is, you want to learn from it. So the secret sauce, also awesome game, is take 1 cup of self-rising, don't beat yourself up. Cup of granulated post-interview reflection. And here, with the post-interview reflection, you're asking yourself, were those questions really tricky? Like, were they meant to like really, really mess you up? Or were they really fair? And, you know, post-interview reflection is also a good time to check in and be like, were there any red flags that I totally brushed off or didn't really perceive? And now that I think about it, like, oh, that guy said something that was totally a faux pas. Do I really want to work with that person? You know, it's a time to check in and find out what those red flags may have been. Also, you want to have 1 cup of ice cold knowing yourself. More on that one later. 1 package of frozen practice. It is essential that you do practice. You could also use interviews as a way of practicing as well. And 1 stick of unsalted. You better believe in yourself. Yeah, you have to believe in yourself, ultimately. Also, a pinch of emailing hiring managers for pointers. This is a good way to get feedback almost immediately. If you have a really good rapport with a hiring manager, then you can email them and be like, hey, I know I messed up, you know, I didn't get the job, like after they say, you know, you didn't get the job. Then you can be like, do you have any pointers for me? Like, is there something that I can do better? You know, what did I fail at? And hopefully they are the type of person that will be like, oh yeah, you know, you need to work on X, Y, Z, or, oh yeah, this is actually the reason why, you know, hiring fees, etc. Fun fact, if you mix all these ingredients together in this order and bake for an hour, you can make yourself a cobbler and serve it with vanilla ice cream. So back to the knowing yourself bit. For me personally, I had to actually really sit and think about what my list of things that were really, really important to me. So when I got the job at Agari and the jobs that I interviewed right before Agari, I asked myself, is this team diverse? Like, for me, it was really important that age was a diverse range. It wasn't all 20-year-olds straight out of college, dudes who drink beer and play ping pong all day. Like, I didn't want to do that. I'm too old for that. Collaboration was really important. Mentorship, in terms of the senior members, were they willing to mentor junior members, was really important. The culture of the company was also really important, as well as engineer churn rate. Like, I didn't also want to be in a company where engineers lasted 3 to 6 months. That's a huge flag for me. And finally, one last thing is that you can all do it. And if you guys don't know, Cheebird has amazing motivational comics. And she says, if you can't see it, maybe the obstacles aren't there to scare us away. Maybe they're there to show us how strong we've become. And this is my cat.
All right, Cherie, where are you? Oh yeah, your power spot.
I told you I was a couple important. The speaker to sit close to the front. So good evening. Oh, come, I'm leaving. Good evening. Good evening. It's almost International Women's Day. Good evening. And it's Friday Eve. No, Thursday Eve. All right, so I'm Cherie McKinney. So thank you guys for putting on this amazing event and allowing us to come and speak tonight. So with the bad interview, and it's perfect segue into how to not give up, right? Like sometimes you're like, oh, forget it, I'll just stay in this job that I don't like, in this team that I don't like, with this company that I don't like. But believe me, don't do it. The grass is greener, right? The coffee is hotter, et cetera, et cetera. So let's talk through it, right? Now, the first thing in anytime you get ready to interview is, what's your motivation? So is it more money, right? Added responsibility? Is it just time for you to move on, right? To another company, to expand your skills, to be more technical. So once you figure that out, use that to drive your job search. And you can use that to drive the ways in which you're going to job search. So you can do networking events, you can look on LinkedIn, or you can just start talking to people like, hey, I might be in the early stages, this is what I'm looking for, can you help me get to that next stage, right? The next thing you need, and this is why this is number 2, support. Because there's going to be days where you drink way more wine than you should. But probably that day was that bad, you should have, right? But so make sure your support was there. I recently have been interviewing for 2 months, right? And I literally had to call my girlfriend. One day I'm bawling, one day I'm like, girl, they're gonna give you this job. Oh and then it's a no after a no after a no. But you still need that support to be able to go back, okay, they didn't give it to me, but tell me something. Tell me I am good enough. Tell me I am qualified, right? So make sure your support is there, because if not, you won't make it. The next thing is your process. What are you doing to get the job? Are you like what I say, looking under the seats in the car and flipping over the cushions in the couch? Are you looking everywhere? Are you tapping into all the resources? Do you not realize that there are so many more things, again, other than LinkedIn, networking events, girl geek dinners, events like this? You have to maximize your resources, right? And basically ask for help. So what are you doing? Think about the different things that you are doing to get the job. Now, tracking. This is important. I started my job search. By the time I knew it, 20 companies had reached out to me. I had applied to 10 other, and I was like, when the phone rang, I was like, who is this again? yeah. Oh, what are we talking about today? So I had to keep track. So I literally have a note in my phone, and then I put the company, and it'll tell me what stage am I on, right? So I can keep track. Okay, I may be on stage 2, so I don't want to give them all my interview stuff on stage 2. I want to hold my interview information for interview, right? So, and we'll get into that a little bit more. But keep track. Whether you do Excel spreadsheet engineers, whether you do codes and all, keep track. However you want to do it, keep track. Trust me, it'll help you. Now, per story, right? Practice your story. One thing that I like to do, and now here's the interview stuff. They always ask the same thing. Tell me a time when you did this. Tell me a time when this. How do you, handle conflict resolution? Think about those different things and use those stories over and over again, especially the ones that are important to you, because they're gonna fly off like butter, right? I can tell you a 10-minute story about this hiring manager that did X, Y, and Z, but it's gonna be so genuine and authentic. Practice it, because when you get in an interview, when you get to that social skills person, they're gonna ask you about all that, because they wanna know if you're a culture fit, right? When you get to the technical piece, think about that project that you worked on and that team that you worked with. Practice it. Now, encouragement. This is key. That's why, going back to support system, you need that. I had to call my girl, I don't know how many times. I quit. I'm going back. I'm pulling the plug. I'm leaving. I'm running. She said, no, you're not. You always talk about you this, boss this, you boss that, boss up. Oh, okay. Sorry. That day I needed that, right? Because I wanted to cry, but I didn't have time, And in my situation, I have kids. So it's not just me. I got 4 eyes that are really greedy, a son that's this tall, a daughter that needs everything that I need all of a sudden. So I got to find a job, you know what I mean? So stay encouraged. Now, the end game is to get the job. Just like Risa said, you may have dodged a bullet. Let me, real quick. I had a job that's given me an offer. They checked my references, ended up changing their mind on the officer and asked one of my references, did they want to come work for the company? Yes. I won't tell you the company, but yes, they did. So I dodged a bullet, right? Had another interview, and I'm in the interview with this guy, and he's like, this old white guy, in tech. He's like, this is the first time at this company that I felt like a minority. I'm like, you do realize you're talking to a black female veteran, right? I have little sympathy for you, you know? But hey, I may have dodged a bullet, right? Just know that when you get to that one, when you feel it, it's for you, right? Now, my personal message is there is a light at the end of the tunnel. At the end of the tunnel, the dollars are gonna make sense. The team is gonna make sense. The role is gonna be the one that changes the game. It may not be now. I say that also about all the gender things we're going through and all the diversity things we're going through. All the work we're doing right now may not affect us immediately, but it is going to affect us in the future. So just stay steadfast. Now, I can't be responsible for this, but I would have said it just like this. I've seen it on LinkedIn when I was doing my research. But keep calm, carry on. When you get a no, go, okay, and keep going. I got probably, 7, 8 no's. And then I go and look back. The companies aren't doing that great. But in my mind, I'm like, you missing out. Mama Bear ain't coming no more, you're not gonna get my good food. You're not gonna get my good drinks, Carry on, it's okay. Because what is for you will truly be for you. Super cliche, but it's true, right? So I went from interviewing, my list is probably 40 long, and I was like, I just want options. And now I have options, and now I'm having FOMO. But it's better to have options, right, than be sitting stuck on that one no and not carrying on. So just keep calm, carry on. You'll find that diverse team. You'll find that one that loves your blue popping hair. I'll find someone that loves my blonde popping hair, right? That doesn't want to put me in a box. And you all will too. Connect with me afterwards.
Yeah. All right, Krystal.
Oh, that's not me, by the way.
All right, so next, what do you do when you get that job, right? You want that money, so let's figure out how to get it. Just so you know, encouragement, I'm self-taught, and I'm starting this week my third engineering job, so hey, you can do it. I'm a software engineer at Simple Habit, a daily vacation for your mind. It is a meditation app. All right, so you're only as good as what you know with regards to negotiating for your salary. Want to make more money? No, what are your rates? What should you be getting? And then ask for more. Like I say, knowledge is money. So this is my salary story. Let's say at the beginning, I was making X amount. And then I'm like, oh, coding, that might be cool. So I become a coder. And that is the point in my story where I made 2 times X. And then I realized, holy crap, there's all this information out there. Oh, my salary should be this. My salary can be that. The recruiter, should I tell her the number I get right now, or should I just add 30K and see what happens? And then it went up to 4 times. It was quite lovely. So how do you do this, okay? These are links. You're not going to be able to write them down right now. But these slides, I've been told, at least mine, will get sent out to everyone who signed up via the actual event site. So please make sure, if you have not signed up, that you get your information to somebody who is an organizer so you can get these links. So these are some links that will show you for X years experience, for different salary range, for different types of engineering, product, data, what are the ranges? What a mentor said on Glassdoor, those things are old, add 15% to everything you see. So good to know. And then once you know, okay, this is my range, how do I get the top of that range? These are all really great sites to learn about how to negotiate. I absolutely love Fearless Salary Negotiation. It's this guy, his name's Josh Duty, and he is focused on software engineers. You actually don't have to pay anything for a majority of his services, which is awesome. You could just read and learn. Be brave, get paid. I saw Kathleen Hart in LA when she was there, but she's actually in SF. So you can probably go to one of her negotiation seminars in person. And then leanin.org and all these other ones have a lot of other free stuff. All right, so how do we get that money? Know your worth, go out there, get the knowledge. Then get the knowledge on how to negotiate. And again, get those dollar bills. Alrighty, so maybe it's your first tech job and you're like, oh, but I've been looking for so long, it's been a long journey, right? But they offered me money, any money is good. I haven't had a paycheck in like 6 months, sometimes 8, sometimes a little more. And you're like, but I don't want to negotiate, I still want them to love me. There is a pay gap. So if you have not done your research, at least do that. Know, are you within the appropriate range for yourself? And if not, check the numbers. So I am of Mexican American descent, and every time I go on Lean In and I see like the numbers for like white men versus Latinas, I'm like, holy crap, I need to ask for more money. And then I tell all of my friends, hey, have you seen the charts? So on here I have general equal pay, women, all women, Latino women, and then for Black women as well. It's very interesting just the different numbers they put together for all of that. So anytime you're like, I'm gonna settle, I need the paycheck, look at your numbers. Make sure they're what you should be getting, because that first number will help you set the rest of your numbers down the line. And like everyone is saying, you have to believe in yourself. You can do it. It's going to be hard. Make sure you have support along the way, and you will get there. So if you have any questions, you can find me on these places. I do mentor, so if you find me on LinkedIn, please mention this event. I get a lot of LinkedIn messages, and not messages, a lot of LinkedIn requests, and I do not add you unless you actually put a message. Also, Simple Habit is hiring. Interested in any of these roles? Knows people who are? Let me know. Thank you, everyone.
Bianca.
Let's try to do presenter view.
Just a second.
I was just gonna say.
Thank you for your patience. Sorry about that. I've done this talk before, but I've noticed without notes I get really nervous, and then it's gonna make you nervous, and then it's not gonna be fun for any of us. So, hello everyone. My name is Bianca. I'm a software engineer at Postmates, and I'm here to talk to you today about being involved in your tech community. Before I do that, however, let me tell you a bit more about myself. For one, I don't like giving presentations without my notes. Believe it or not, I've not always been in tech. A few years back, but actually maybe more than a few, I used to attend the University of Waterloo, which was an environment that was highly academic and sometimes competitive. If you didn't know, it's the largest engineering school in Canada, and to this day still has a larger number of male students compared to females. I, however, did not see myself fitting into any of those buckets. For one, I don't identify as male. And I'm also not an engineer, or at least I wasn't at that time. I studied math and business, but more focused on the business side. So I liked the management courses and marketing and economics. And I wasn't that good at computer science and honestly wasn't that interested in it back then. This made for some interesting challenges because some of the classes I had to take were computer science, where the majority of the students were male. Fast forward to my first full-time job, where I did programming for a well-known financial services company. As it turns out, I actually did like tech and programming. I just needed a real-world application, something outside of the classroom. And I actually turned out to be pretty good at it. I do say so myself. I ended up going back to school to fill in the gaps, as it were. In this graduate program, there were over 100 students, and still less than 10% were female. Additionally, at that level, you're expected to do more things on your own and rely less on your fellow students and faculty because they're so busy doing their own research. I was young. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was probably the same age as some of you now. So I didn't really know what tech was, and I didn't know how to break into it. And once I was in it, then what? How do you level up in it? So that being said, I'm very glad I had the support system that I did to be able to learn everything and eventually come to the Bay Area and work for some of these companies. So the first thing that we should do to define the support is to define what the tech community is. So how would you define your tech community? In reality, you can actually define it however you'd like. When I spoke about my time in school, the community was the students and the faculty. In my current role as a software engineer, the scope might be my team, might be the engineering department, the company, or it can be external customers, couriers, and partners. In previous talks I've given, the community might be tech in SF, or the Bay Area, or online. And sometimes it was meant to be a group like you. So it's a group of women, non-binary, and other underrepresented groups in tech. Contrary to what you might be thinking, defining your community doesn't limit you and your ambitions. Your definition can change over time or immediately depending on the goals you're trying to reach. And understanding what the community is can help you understand the impact you're trying to make. It will make a bigger impact on the community, and since the theme of today is getting hired, it'll make a bigger impact on yourself. Now that we have our communities, how do we become involved? Here are some of the examples that I came up with. So you can contribute online, such as to open source projects, blogs, or discussions. You don't necessarily need to be an expert writer or an expert in your field. You just need to ask yourself what you're knowledgeable or passionate about, or what you'd like to learn and tell others about. Maybe you're learning a new programming language like Haskell or Go, or maybe you want to tell people about your recent meetup experience, like this one. There are so many directions you could go with this. As you know from being here today, you could also attend events. There's so many events located around the Bay Area, or something that might be a little less taken advantage of are the online events. For example, there's an event tomorrow by Girl Geek X, which is an online conference. You can also learn and network. You could take classes, join boot camps, and Slack groups. You can expand your network and build your local community. You can follow blogs, discussions, and mailing lists. Don't just think about being involved in your community as contributing to it. You can also consume and should consume what it has to offer for you. You could donate money or equipment. Donating to the right organizations can really make a difference to these orgs and to the people they strive to help. And you can donate your time. The meaning of donating your time varies depending on the influence that you want to portray. It could be as little as an hour where you lead a workshop to a group of peers, or if you want to shoulder more responsibilities, you can run an event or teach a class or be a TA. The possibilities are endless. Similarly, you can give talks. You could be proactive. You could share your voice and experiences. Some examples are presenting a lightning talk, such as this one. You could be part of a panel, such as that one. Or you can present at a meetup, again, such as this one. These are only a few of many ways that you can become involved in your tech community. However you decide to take part, in whatever way, shape, or form, just know that yes, you belong there. You can offer fresh perspectives and insight with your unique knowledge and experiences. All this being said, Why would you want to get involved in the first place? Well, from a personal perspective, you can gain more empathy, knowledge, and life experience. You could increase your confidence, and you can build your personal brand. There was a whole talk on that earlier, but my one-line summary of it is that your personal brand is not limited to your name and experiences. It also includes the impression you want to portray, your reputation, and even the emotions that people associate with you. Interpersonally, as a member of the community, you can be part of a team outside of work. Even for those of us who might like hanging out with and working with our coworkers, it's beneficial to combine our efforts with other people from time to time. And you can make connections outside of your usual circles, giving you access to more knowledge, resources, support, and inspiration. I guess as one last point on interpersonal, you can also give back to the community and make a difference. Finally, last but certainly not least, is the career side. So from the career side, you may have opportunities to gain recognition for your impact in tech, which loops back to personal brand. You can gain career exposure, which can be great for hiring purposes. And you can practice your existing skills, because practice makes perfect, right? You can learn new skills. Working on and exploring side projects will help keep your skill set fresh and can be even fun. You can get mentorship or give mentorship and advice from someone more experienced in your field, or at least start the conversations. You can connect with peers. An example of this is, particularly for developers, is knowing how you stack up across different companies, like what engineering level that you're at. And of course, you can ultimately break into tech or level up your career by leveling up everything else, including these soft skills. So at Postmates, I actually interview a lot, and one of the questions I like to ask candidates is, how would you like to improve? Like, what do you want to learn more of? A lot of people say dig deeper into the code. That's great, but at least in my opinion, it's not enough. What I like to hear is they want to step outside the box. So for example, they might like to make connections with other teams, or they want to dig into analysis, or maybe they want to deep dive into long-term planning. These will all offer different perspectives that they may not usually have in their everyday, day-to-day work life. These are only a few examples, but what it comes down to is you'll be able to take more away from giving to the tech community than what you put in. So you can feel good knowing that. So this is all well and good, but why should you be involved? Those are such generic reasons, but I did try to compile a shorter list that may relate more to underrepresented groups in tech. Increase company profits. So maybe you won't do this one on your own, or maybe you will. But well-quoted studies suggest that gender equality, particularly at the board level, is linked to higher profits in the company. You can gain exposure for women, non-binary folks, and other underrepresented groups, a goal that we're all passively or actively working towards. You can inspire and support others by being the example they need to jumpstart or level up their own careers in tech. Or you can just be there for people. So I'm just gonna put this out there. How many of you weren't really familiar with this event, but you decided to come to support your friend or keep someone company, right? You can offer a fresh perspective with your knowledge and experience, bringing more scope and awareness, coming up with unique solutions to problems, and etc. And you can help build a better tomorrow. Admittedly, this is a longer-term goal, but many more studies show that diverse teams consistently outperform uniform teams due to diversified focus and efficient decision-making, and more. So that was probably a lot of information.
Thank you so much. Those talks were amazing. I was tweeting like mad. All right. So now I have to figure out what I'm doing over here. Ooh, look, more slides. Okay, so we are going to move into resume reviews and interview practice. I hope you all saw the resources that I shared. And basically how we're going to do that is half of the volunteers signed up for doing resume reviews, and then half signed up for interview practice, and about 10 people signed up for both. So we are just going to try to split it down the middle. And for the people who are doing resume reviews, we want you at a table because people either brought a resume with them or a laptop so you can take a look at their resume. So we have these tables and those tables for that purpose. And then around the corner is the workshop room, and along the windows you may have seen there is like a counter space. So if you are a volunteer who is going to do resume reviews, please find your place at one of those, and I will rotate attendees every 20 minutes. For the attendees, the people with the green name tags, those are the volunteers. So if you are looking for your next person, walk in the right direction. We're gonna go this way, by the way. And then just be like, are you a volunteer? Can I work with you? And that'll be great. And then everyone else for the interview practice, you can find whatever spot you are comfortable in. Even like moving 2 chairs here together so you can talk is totally fabulous. And hopefully this won't be a big mess. Ready, go!